Hello everyone, welcome to Blue Dragon Actual. So today is 25th of December 2022, and I don't know if I'll be releasing this video on 25th of December, but happy Christmas everyone, and also happy New Year in advance. So I for the next week, I know like I have seen my in my videos, like I think most of the people are kind of in the holiday mode. Right, I have seen the views are getting decreased, so I believe that next week most of us would be outside. They will be visiting places. I am not going anywhere. I am planning few things in my life. I mean, yeah, if you are going there, so next week I don't want to release two videos. So I'll be releasing only one video on Friday, which would be the question that I've asked in my previous video, like why TVOG is separated, like or deducted from the present value of future profit. That video would come on Friday. But other than that, I'll not be releasing any video this because I believe that most of the people will be traveling and there is no point in releasing a video. So that's why I wanted to inform you in advance. Now, today's topic is very important because if you are, especially if you are 21, 20, just completed graduation, looking for something in life, what you want to do, I think today's topic would be very, very important for you, and you know how to approach that situation in life. I think each one of us who had moved from that age and had that confusion, right? And one of the things that I've noticed in my maybe LinkedIn messages is after I started posting on Actuarial is this questions like I am 18-year-old, I'm 19-year-old, I'm 20-year-old, and I hail from this state. I want to do Actuarial, but I'm confused. What are the things like what I need to study, etc., etc. A lot of confusions, right? Few people are confused about whether they should be doing Actuarial. I've even received queries from other people who wanted to do MBA and they are confused whether they should do MBA. So multiple questions, right? Few people are maybe interested in different field altogether, like they might be interested in acting or interested maybe in playing any sport, but they also know that maybe that would not uh, pay for their bills. So how they can do something, right? So I think if you are struggling for that those sort of question, I think this video will be very, very important for you because they should at least help you in think and making taking those decisions, right? So moving on, what is the background, right? Every video of mine of this sort, counseling sort of video, that starts with the background. So as I mentioned, the background is multiple questions being asked over LinkedIn messages. What you want to do when you are kind of at that level, when you are 20, 21, when you are looking for a job, when you have done some graduation, when you have like if you have seen my addition video, addition making video, when you are in that average range, when you are hitting that hump in the normal curve, so you are kind of thinking what should I be doing. And it's very confusing because most of the people are following someone or they are seeing others, right? And every society has a different standard, your parents have a different standard, your friends are going to do something else, right? So very, very confusing. That's why I think I get multiple questions based on this, right? Someone, as I mentioned, someone wants to do acting but could not do it, thinking that no one from my family has done it, etc., etc. Multiple reason, it might not be acceptable in my family, my parents are conservative, etc., etc., right? So that is also one of the questions that I get. And confused, can't decide, right? They want to do something for money but they don't like it, so they want to do something else, but that might not pay, as I mentioned, pay the bills. So what to do, right? So moving on. So I am just, first of all, I'm just like to I'm just going to say that it is okay to be confused. I was confused. Each one of my friend was confused. Few people are even confused, right? Very few people have clarity of thoughts. So even, I mean, that is something, clarity of thought is something which is severely lacking. I have seen on maybe only one or two people in my life who have that clarity of thought, and I personally believe that, personally I had that clarity of thought. I never was, like I mentioned by that decision making video, that I, because of my background, because of my childhood, because I've been exposed to a lot of decision making very early in my life, I never had that issue. But in fact, on that age, 2021, even I was confused. I didn't know what would be the right thing for me. I cleared a couple of competitive exam. I could have done maybe statistics from a good institute, or my maths from a good institute, master degree in maths or stat, right? But those are not appealing to me, and I also do not like the way kind of those exams or those entrance exams are conducted. So I had my own doubts, right? But those were good, like those would have been very good at that point of time. But then I chose to do MBA, which was completely different from my field, because I was a maths graduate. I could have done master degree in maths from a very premier institute in India, maybe the topmost institute in India, maybe also in the world. But I don't want to do that, right? I was not interested in that. So it's okay to be confused, right? Sometimes something that is very easily available, something that is very practical to the rest of the world, to the rest of your family members, may not be that practical for you. So it's okay to be confused. So let me just repeatedly tell this, that it's okay to be confused. You are in that state, you are in that zone where you are kind of exploring things, and it's okay to be confused. However, what is not okay is to stay in that state for a long time, right? If you are in confusion state, if you are not doing anything for 6 months, 1 year, and you are wasting your time, then that is some precious time that you are wasting, and that is not okay. It's okay to be confused, but you have to work towards that clarity, right? And as I mentioned, clarity is something that is probably lacking is 99.99% in the world of people in the world. They are very, people are poor decision makers, right? That's the whole point of me making a video on decision making. But I mean, uh, you have to work towards that, right? You can gain some clarity as and when you progress something somewhere. And this is also the purpose of this video, especially for that age group. What you should think, right? How you can receive or achieve that clarity. So moving on, why the confusion, right? Why the confusion? I think the primarily the most important thing is, we are brought, especially because we are Indians, we are brought up in some manner that we hate to say that I love money, right? It's like it's almost a taboo in the society to say that I love money. You are always taught, don't say this, say something else, say that in a roundabout manner, in a diplomatic manner. Like, I usually get this query from people, like, if do I want to, like, I want to do actually because I'm very very interested in maths. Then I ask them, okay, why are you not doing maths honors or master degree in maths? So then they usually, the reply I get is, I am just interested in the applied section of maths. Like, yeah, you can do master degree in applied maths, right? The maths has two streams, pure maths and applied maths. You can do it in applied maths, and then there is no question, because the reason they want to do actually is because of money, because they have heard from coaching centers, or maybe in some post, they don't know that actually pays 1 crore package, you know although I mean you can check the reality in my channel, what they pay and what they don't pay, right? And 1 crore package is definitely a reality in actually, but that comes with experience and knowledge, right? Every person will not get to 1 crore package, even if they are working their entire life, they may not get there. And few people might reach there very quickly because of their knowledge, because of their ability to handle responsibility. Few people will get there, few people will never get there, right? So I think the main thing is, it is okay once again to say that I love money. I have seen difficulty, like personally for me, I have seen a lot of financial difficulty in my initial phase. And when I was at that age, I thought that, yeah, I have to do something which generates a lot of money, and I don't want to kind of take someone else's money by duping that person by unethical means, but by ethical means I want to make money, right? And there is nothing wrong in that. If you are into actually saying that I am into actually for money, I don't know if you will be able to sustain the rigor of actually, because actually being that sort of course, right? I personally believe that someone who is not passionate about actually, someone who is thinking about actually from money perspective, would not be able to sustain the rigor, because it's very difficult. Not only, and people usually understand rigor by passing exam, right? That's the least part of being an actuary. You have to understand concepts. You have to remember those concepts, right? You have to apply those concepts in practical life. Those are very very difficult, and you can be an actuary. Like as I mentioned, I use the term called paper actuary. You can be a paper actuary, but everyone in the team will know that this person knows nothing. Is just his or her knowledge is just theoretical, right? So you can still be a paper actuary, but real proper actuary whom everyone acknowledges and everyone kind of respect because of your knowledge, that is a very difficult thing to do, right? So I don't think if you are in actuary for money perspective, there is a, I mean, you will be able to sustain that. But it's okay to say that you love money and you believe that you are also passionate about actually, so maybe both of these things are coinciding, right? In my decision making video, I made a point about future prediction. So these are the upcoming fields, right? Of this field, you are slightly inclined towards one of the field. Say for example, maybe you are interested in maybe machine learning and artificial intelligence, right? Because you believe that you like maths and you think that machine learning, artificial intelligence, you also have some, maybe some coding inclination, so that you will be good there, maybe try there, right? So money is one of the very important thing, and if you want to earn money ethically, there is nothing wrong in that. You should want to be a billionaire, millionaire, trillionaire, whatever the number that the world has yet to see. But and there is nothing wrong in saying that you want to be that, right? I think from this video onwards, if you are watching this video, try saying that, right? Be upfront about it. Tell your mom that I don't want to say that I love maths, right? I love money, and I also love maths, right? So that's why I want to do actually. There is nothing wrong in that, right? You are expressing your viewpoint, you are expressing your thought, and I think that is honest. I hope that maybe 10 years down the line, people will be upfront about it, right? So I think one of the main confusion here is the money part, the financial part, and you are trying to choose field which will make receiving those amount of money, like which you dream for, that luxurious life, that maybe that car and that house. So you want to choose a field that will pay for all of that. But sometime, I mean, you might end up choosing a wrong field because you're not passionate about that. So whenever the going gets tough, it will be difficult for you to continue in that field. But uh, you are probably choosing, like, money is one of the deciding factor of what you are going to choose at that age. Moving on. Also, the confusion stems from our friends and families that you can see in this picture. So most of the times, like many people, especially when I was kind of thinking of graduation, my brother has done a graduation in maths as well. My elder brother, who is 11 and a half years elder to me, so he's quite old as compared to me, and he did a graduation in maths. So I initially thought that, am I following him, am I copying him? Because I also wanted to do graduation in maths, and but I don't want to copy him. So it's very, sometime when someone in your family has done maybe CA, you also want to copy that person, or your parents want you to copy that person because that person is doing pretty well, and they think that if you copy that person, you will also be doing well. But once again, that's a rubbish sort of thinking. That's a poor decision making. You cannot copy another person. You cannot be a Xerox copy of someone else, right? You can only be yourself. So if you are trying to be a Xerox copy of someone else, you will only be ending up lesser than him, and probably you will also not reach the full potential that you can display or you can achieve. So I think most of the confusion is created by family and friends. And trust me, your parents also don't know much about the world. They have seen the world in their time. They have some of the judgments they have made from their time, but they may not be aware of the current time, right? So it is very, very important. So if you have the confusion, speak to people who have spent time in that field, right? And who have seen the positive and negative of that field, and they are speaking from the recent experience, like they have not seen the field 20 years before, right? And right now they are at a stage where they can go wrong and they would not be punished for that, but you would be punished for that, right? Also, sometimes the confusion stems from the fact that, suppose you have a friend who is a topper and you are not, but that person is choosing something, and you also want to follow that person because you believe that that person has great IQ and that person would always be correct. That is also wrong. And I can give an example from my own life. One of my friend who was a, like, very close competitor of mine, like at a point of time, if I used to score maybe 19 maths, he was scoring 88, so he was a very strong competition. and like till I think class 12 he was very very close to me as a competition, but his inclination was towards music, towards poetry, language, etc. And I told him that you should go in arts, you should not come into science field. And seeing me, he wanted to do graduation in maths or stat, and he ended up doing graduation in stat, and he failed in 1 year graduation. And he being a very good like he was a very good student. Like I was not a good student from the start, but he was a good student from the start. He was first boy in our school every time, and he just lacked the discipline. He just fell into bad company, and he was not able to do much with that. So it was very difficult for him to kind of end the graduation. He had to spend 1 extra year. There was a lot of embarrassment for their parents. And also, like I come from a place which where people are not well to do. They have some financial limitation, and they have to kind of pay extra money for him to stay in Kolkata and complete the graduation. After that, also it was difficult for him to get job. So I think he could have been a very good, maybe a lead guitar in a band. He could be a very good singer in a band, and he write I mean very good poetry. Like today, we know that as rapping, and he used to do that a lot earlier. I think in our time, 2003, 2005, he was a master in that. So he could have done very well there. Just because he tried to copy me, thinking I am his competition, so he should be doing what I would be doing, and that was the general way, right? That was the like education is the most general way to proceed, and he tried to copy me, and he ended up not being himself at all, right? So I think that's where the confusion come from, and you have to be very careful that what your family wants, what your parents want, may not be right for you. In fact, most of the time, it is not right for you. What your friends want, or what direction your friends are choosing, they themselves are confused. So how can you copy them, right? So both of these things can be incorrect for you. Moving on, another thing that I've currently seen is this hero worship. Like these are the days of social media, where we are seeing people uh, like maybe sharing, like especially for the trading portion, trading community. There are people who are kind of sharing screenshots of 50 lakhs profit, 60 lakhs profit, 1 crore profit in a day. And there are many people who are trying to be that person. Sometimes I also get influenced, right, by seeing those screenshot. I also want to make heavy profit, and I only end up making loss, right? So I mean, you can have someone as your idol, you can have someone as your mentor, but you cannot follow that person blindly, because that person has different risk appetite, that person is from a different upbringing, and that person has different qualities, right? You cannot be that person. Once again, you cannot be the Xerox copy of someone else, right? So don't blindly hero worship someone. I mean, they can go horribly wrong in their life, and they have their own difficulties, own weaknesses, which they are probably not showing, and you are also not inclined to see. So don't do this. Like always respect someone, be polite to someone, but hero worship is not something which you should do, especially at 21-year old. You should focus more on developing your own thought process. So moving on, so what actually you should think upon, right? So first of all, you should think what is your family's financial condition. Like I mentioned, I'm from a low middle class background. So had my elder brother not got a job, I'd be forced to do a job, right? And then that would be my reality. In fact, whether I wanted to do maths honors or not, that would not be the reality, because practical situation will always trump your whatever your the theoretical thing, and the actual what you actually want to do, right? So because my brother got a job, I was able to study further, right? So you first of all, you need to think whether your family has the financial capability. Can you make the mistake? Do you have the eligibility to make mistake? That depends on your family's financial condition. If your family's monthly income is maybe 5,000 rupees, right, and you have to take responsibility, then you cannot think about what you want to do. Then you have to go with something, and then probably you can later on, when you are stabilized, when you are earning something, then you can think about what you want to do. But if your family do not have that financial capability, don't just think about anything. Just focus on getting a job, and how quickly you can probably pull your family out of that financial difficulty. So this is the first point you should think upon. Secondly, what do you want to do for money and what are you passionate about? Like I mentioned, you probably wanted to study actuary for money, right? But at the same time, you might be passionate about actuary as well. On the other hand, you might want to do maybe acting. But just as a just because you have heard your friend is going for actuary, you are also doing actuary. So you need to figure out what your inclination is, and that might not be apparent. Like, you need to try a couple of things for maybe 2 months, 3 months, to understand whether you are actually passionate about that, right? But most of the times, especially if you are choosing a non-conventional field like acting, like maybe rapping, etc., or if you are a tattoo artist, etc., maybe those are the fields where you will not get the initial flow of money, and that will be like, so in that case you need a second job or second earning, so that you can sustain that passion. So you need to figure out what do you want to do for money and what are you passionate about. Of course, at one point of time you want to continue with only the thing that you are passionate about, but your start cannot be that, right? Because if you are choosing an unconventional field, if you are choosing a conventional field, like you want to do an MBA, then obviously you can, and you are passionate about that as well, there is no point thinking about money, right? So next question is, can they be the same? Like, can like the things that you want to do for money and the thing that you are passionate about, can they be same? For luckily for me, I found actually, but I found actually after I found MBA. Like, I initially thought MBA would be the thing that I want to do, and when I went to do MBA, I thought, no, no, this is not something that I like, right? But then later on, I found actually, and that was something that I enjoyed doing, and I'm still very very passionate about that, right? So I mean, luckily actually also pay the money for me, right? Pay my bills, and also it is something that I'm passionate about. Like, can you find something like that? And in case you are not finding that, can you find a second source of income, right? Moving on. So how much time will be reasonable for you to take at something you want to do? So initially when I was kind of choosing, actually I gave myself as a initial paper that I appeared for, I failed. I failed with FA grade. At that point of time, scores was not given. So when I failed with FA, I told myself that I'll be giving 2 years to this, and I'll try to clear two papers. So if I can't clear two paper in 2 years, then something would be wrong with me, and I should not change my stream, because I was working in project management or Six Sigma. So I should not change my stream. At the same time, I should do some certification for the Six Sigma, so that I gain advantage there, right? So I gave myself that 2 years, and also in that 2 years I had to find a job in actually, right? These are my target when I thought about actually. So you have to be reasonable. Like, you cannot do something for eternity. Like, I know a person who got stuck in CA inter, and he was never able to clear the CA final, but he stuck with writing exams and writing papers for 5 6 years. And what happened after that is, at the age of 28 29, he was jobless, he was degreeless, right? And he was not a CA as well. So you cannot go like that. You must have a plan, right? And you should have a deadline for yourself, and that deadline has to be reasonable. It cannot be like, I would finish actually in 3 years. That is an unrealistic deadline, right? You have to have a probably a less rigid deadline, and something which can be comfortably done. But it should also be, in some way it should also be challenging. Moving on. So the next point is about, do you have a fallback option? I think most of the people, like, I've seen a couple of motivational speakers saying that you should not have a plan B, but I think it's very important to have a plan B, especially if you are coming from a poor financial background. So you need a plan B. Like, you say that this is something, like I mentioned, that I will be doing this for maybe 2 months, right, or 2 years. And if I don't get an actual job by that point of time, then I should leave actually, and I should stay with my current job, right? So that was my fallback option. You need a fallback option, so that you can also be able to do that with much more clarity, much less stress, right? That also helps in your plan A. Moving on. Once again, what you should think, are you influenced by the glamour or you have worked towards this. Most of the people today in today's world who are kind of taking, actually they are influenced by the glamour, that 1 crore package, right? But have you worked towards it? Have you, like, instead of asking me where can I study from asset, have you gone to the website and seen what is asset? Have you gone to IFOA website and spent some time and tried to see what are the syllabus of Actuary? If you have not done that, then you are just influenced by the glamour. You want someone to spoon feed you, and that, with that attitude, you are not going anywhere, right? So you cannot be influenced by the glamour. You have to work towards it. You have to figure out information. You have to try to see what are the, the various scenarios, and you, at least you should know what are the papers, and maybe how long it takes to complete, actually, right? So do not get influenced by the glamour of particular field. Work towards it, think about it, like what can be done uh, if something goes wrong, right? Moving on, do you know the negative side? Once again, I was kind of touching on this topic. So do you know what the negative side, like in Actually, there is a, there is a maybe, it's difficult to get job for a fresher, because that's how the industry think. No one wants to train the people, they want maybe ready-made resource, right? So that's the negative side of the field. But once you kind of, pass that stage of maybe the initial 1 and 2 years, right, then there is no issue. So do you know the negative side of the field, right? When you are choosing a field, you need to know the negative side. For example, in acting, we know, all of us know that casting couch is a reality in acting, right? You have to do bold scenes, etc., etc. Those are reality in acting. And if you are choosing the field, you have to be okay with that. You cannot say, no, I want to do only this part of it, right? You have to be okay with that. And actually, because of corporate things, there will be politics, there will be people who would be just looking for ways to put you down, and there will be people who would be also helping you. So there will be corporate politics. So you have to know that these are the negative sides of being in an actual job, right? So you have to know the negative side. You cannot just be influenced by the glamour. Moving on, how to finance your dream. Once again, very important point, as I mentioned, that you, for example, you want to become a trader, right? But if you are a trader, you need some capital to start, right, to start trading. So how can you, have that capital? You have to ask your parents, right? You cannot, like, there is no other way for you to arrange for that capital. So you have to think, how can you finance that, right? If you are in Actuary, if you have to clear multiple papers, you have to appear for the papers, you have to pay the fees for the subscription fees, yearly subscription, etc., right? So how can you finance that? Do you have the money for that? Once again, if your family has the financial standing, then they can finance that for you. But if your family do not have the financial standing, then you have to work on something else to get that money to work on your planning, right? So that's why, once again, plan B is so important. Moving on, have you spoken with different field? Like, probably that is the reason I get approached by many people in LinkedIn. So but you also need to approach other people, like not only me, maybe 2 3 other people, to just, but do not approach many people, like don't go by 20 people, right? Approach 1 2 3, maybe 4 max. So to get an perspective and see what are the common points these people are saying, what are the maybe not so common points that these people are saying, right? And to get an perspective, because they are in the field, they know the in and out of the industry, and they should be able to guide you, instead of your parents who, or your friends who are kind of speaking from their assumptions and whatever they have heard by, from their friends and everything. So it's just word of mouth, but they don't have the practical experience. For that, you need to get perspective. And it can also be about money, right? What is the money that you are getting, going to get paid when you are a fresher, when you have 4 papers, 5 papers, etc. And you need that perspective, right? That's why I made a video, designation wise actual salaries. You can check that video in my channel. That's an approximate, salary per designation based on the industry, and I have covered it thoroughly. This is also one of the most watched, I think the most watched video in my channel is that. So you can go there and see, right? Finally, make 3 year elaborate strategy. This is something that is not natural. Once again, we being Indians hate to plan. Like, I have seen multiple people saying that we go for trips, and those are just ad hoc trips. We just plan. If we plan it, it always fails, right? But I am a person who like to plan, and I try to think 3 years down the line, and then obviously, I mean, things will change, right? Maybe COVID. Uh, after, like before COVID, I was thinking of doing all of this maybe in an offline setup, but because of COVID, I can do this in an online setup, right? Things change, you can adapt. Sometime it will go in your favor, sometime it will go against you. But I think you should make 3-year strategy. You should write it down, maybe prepare a presentation, right? Like you want to pitch that as a business idea to your parents or some, maybe some friends, and change your tactics, and they can also give feedback based on that, right? Like I have some idea, I discussed that with my father today, and my father gave me very valuable feedback, right? So I think that is very important, right? So you may not agree with 90% of what your father said, but 10% would be very valuable. And because they are also experienced, and you can use that 10% to fine tune your strategy, right? So that is very important. And that's why I think you should always plan, and things may not go according to plan, and that then you should adapt your tactic based on the practical experience, right? That also improves your decision making. So you should always think like that. Moving on. So please give up, right? As I mentioned, sometime when things are not working for you, like you wanted to become an actuary. I have multiple friends who started actually writing actual exams, and those who want to, like they also cleared 4 or 5 papers, but then they eventually realize much later that they cannot become an actuary, right? I have few people who are quite seniors when I was working in SBI Life, and they were writing papers much before me, and they realized that they could not complete actually because they are not passionate. They don't have that bent of mind, right? And but they still kept on writing the paper and writing the paper, and in turn they also affected the job that they were doing. So please give up something. This is something, once again, we are, because of the, the movies, the motivational speakers, etc., everyone says that you should not give up, but I tell that you should give up if you are in a, just an example, like if you are in an abusing relationship, right? Like in this case, maybe actually is abusing you, right? You are not able to clear the paper, then you are still stuck in with that relationship. Doesn't make sense, right? But you obviously, you must give yourself that time, right? That's why this clock fix obviously has to give that time. Like I mentioned, you should give yourself some time, some deadline for yourself: 2 papers, 2 years, and a job. If I can't do that, I'll leave actually, right? And I'll focus on something else. Because if I can't do that, that being so basic, if I can't crack that, then something is lacking in me for this field. I might be very good in some other field, but for this field something might be lacking in me, and I should, leave this field and try something else, right? So please give up if you are not able to perform as per your expectation within the deadline. You please give up. But however, for example, if you are sick for 6 months, in that 2 months, obviously you can, increase the timeline by 2 more months, right? As I mentioned, the deadline should not be rigid. But if there is no, like, even if after your best effort you are still not able to do it, leave it, right? And I have taken multiple interviews where people who do not have that bent of mind. I have recently taken an interview where a person told, scoring, and surprising thing is that person has scored more than 70, I think 75 or 76 in CM1. That person told me that term product has maturity benefit, right? And he, that person has scored 75 and 76, and he was so adamant that in spite of giving repeated hint, he was not able to catch the hint. So I don't think that person would end up becoming an actuary. But I mean, he's saying that he would be an actuary. So, but it is also incorrect to judge probably maybe from 30 minutes of interview that a person cannot become an actuary. But whatever, my based on my experience, I do think that he would be trouble. He'd be in trouble if he tries to become one, because he is not understanding the concept. He's just clearing the papers. That's the problem. Finally, follow, as I mentioned, follow another path. You will know which one is your calling when you get there, right? And as I mentioned, I started with MBA. I thought this is my calling, but then that was not the case. And I later on I found actually risk management, future prediction. These are the things that I enjoy, right? So you will know what is your path. It's okay to be incorrect, maybe in your one of the choices, second choice or third choice, but by the fourth choice your decision making will improve that much, and you'll also know, right, this is the correct part. Sometimes we follow someone else. We right now there is a, there is a trend of startup. So many people will think that I'll start up my own business, I'll be my founder, I'll be CEO by 21, by 30 I'll retire, right? Because many people have done that, but I don't. I have no desire to retire. Even if I start my own startup, maybe next year, I'll still not retire. I'm never planning to retire. So like I have my own thought process. You should develop your own thought process, and it's okay. And it's very, it's very encouraging actually to say that you are not for this field and you want to move to a different field and try something else, right? So I think that is very important. Very few people can actually say that to themselves. Once again, that is where that self-awareness thing comes into picture, which I've spoken about in the decision making video. But yeah, it's very very important. So I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation. I hope if you are a 21-year-old or 20-year-old, you have learned something from this video. It will help you, and it also probably give you some mental peace that like this is what this is how I should be thinking, and this is okay. Many people are in my my zone, my area, and they are also confused like me. So I think that that might help you. So if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. If you are seeing this video for the first time in my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell icon so that you will be notified whenever I post a video. Usually I post a video twice a week, maybe on Thursday or Friday, maybe on Saturday and Sunday. So thanks for watching and see you in future videos.